Here are 3 reasons not to retire. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew. I'm the owner of Lever Wealth Management. I'm also a CFA Charterholder, a CFP professional who spent the last 10 years helping high net worth and ultra high net worth investors with complex situations. And I'm taking these thousands of reps that I get or have gotten over the years, and I'm giving them to you so that you can apply them to your life. And so today's a little more behavioral in nature rather than technical. I hope that's okay, but I've had this conversation a lot, especially recently, and I think it is worth mentioning. So here are 3 reasons not to retire. Number 1, and this one's somewhat obvious, you're on the brink of even being able to do it, right? If you can barely make it right now within your retirement plan, then you need to reevaluate. And so what do I mean by that? If you are in your 60s and your Monte Carlo analysis is somewhere between 50 to 70%, that could be tough, especially right now because the market's been very, very good as of late. And if you have a retraction from these highs, and I'm not prognosticating here, but if you have a 20% correction and you are a person who's aggressive in nature, that can really change your Monte Carlo analysis quite a bit. And so you'll want to make sure, okay, under a static scenario, how does this look? And then under a static scenario with a 20% correction, how does this look? And usually if you're already in that 50 to 70 bucket, it creates some problems. And I'll add to that, most people truly do not know their expenses. And if I had $1 for every time somebody who made 300 grand a year said, you know, I spend about $4,000 a month. Oh, so where's the other 250 going to? Oh, well, I pay tax. Okay, so 150. Where's your 150 of discretionary income? I don't know. Happens all the time. Most of us are not particularly good budgeters. I'm not saying that makes you a bad person, but I am saying it can make a bad input, right? And so if you're on the brink of even being able to retire and you haven't modeled out some of those negative scenarios, and you don't really truly know or haven't taken into account your miscellaneous expenses, some one-time expenses, my car in a couple of years, this extra vacation, well, it might not be time to retire yet. It may be time to push that back a year or 2. Reason number 2 not to retire today is if you have no idea what you would do with your life. This is tough for men specifically. If you don't know what you're going to do, and if your answer to me is, oh, I'll golf, no, you won't. I'm not saying you won't golf. I'm saying you won't golf 50 hours a week. And when you are a person who's been a decision maker in an executive function, and you've had people under you who are asking you questions all the time, and then you turn that off, that's hard on people. It is. And if you don't have a plan or even a directionally accurate outlook for where you're wanting to go with this, you need to reevaluate and probably not pull the plug until you have some idea. Now, I'm not saying you have to have everything figured out. Notice I said directionally accurate. Just take a look at your hobbies, what's important to you, what you value in life, and go, okay, I'm charitable in nature and I like my church. I wonder if I could serve a couple days at church, right? Or, you know what, I'm a grandma or grandpa and I want to be able to watch the grandkids sometimes, right? Even things like that is enough to get you in the right direction. My point is, if you've not thought about this at all, that's bad. And you need to really think about that before you retire, not after you retire, because I've seen it with people who have had liquidity events, and I've seen it with people who have retired, and they don't think about that. And what happens is they get really depressed really quick. And the retirees, just to be frank, who don't figure it out, they die early because they don't have meaning in their life anymore. You have to figure out, I said this in a video recently, you have to figure out your next mission. Reason number 3 not to retire today is the inverse of that. If you find fulfillment in what you do it. Nobody says you have to retire just because you're 60 or 65, right? Or just because you're 55 and you got a really good LOI from somebody. if you enjoy what you do, if it gives you meaning in life, I was talking to someone recently who's had several liquidity events, and they said, you know what I really love is just building teams and giving people jobs. I love seeing that. Then keep doing it, right? Our work and our vocation are not synonymous necessarily, but sometimes they can be. And that's not wrong if what gives you meaning is also what makes you money, so long as you have meaning in other areas of your life too, right? We shouldn't let work be our God. But if you value what you do, right, and it keeps you engaged and keeps you relationships, maybe you don't want to do it to the extent that you were. Maybe you don't want to rely on that for your income, because it's a very different feeling when you're going into work because you want to, not because you have to. But nobody says you have to retire just because you hit a certain age. So consider that, right? Just because it's normal for people to hang it up at 60 or 65 or whatever, if you have your wits about you and you can do it at a high level or even a lesser level, but still enjoy it, why not? Okay. Here's a bonus number 4. Fourth reason not to retire today is if you have some specific charitable or legacy goals that aren't fully funded and you want to make sure they are with some level of certainty or a higher level of certainty, don't retire yet, because it's just different whenever you're working for that specific purpose, right? And I've seen it where the retirement plan looks good, and then, the client says, you know what, I really want the Red Cross to have $1 million when I die. But the retirement plan shows that's not necessarily a certainty. So we iterate it, we run the plan, we go, you know what, if you work 2 more years part-time and you save that back, you can put that in an account, and that'll most likely be $1 million. And then they go, oh, work 20 hours a week with 6 weeks off for the next 2 years to make sure the Red Cross is taken care of, right? I'm making up an example, but you get what I'm saying. You've now given a purpose to that goal. The goal is in line with your values, and now your work is fulfilled because there's alignment between all 3. And so if that's something that's important to you and financially you haven't been able to make it happen yet, keep working then, right? Or figure out a way that you can keep working and it's still fulfilling. So there are 4 reasons not to retire today. Hope you found it helpful. And until next time, see y'all.